Hi there. I'm Sharon, I'm a journalist and I'm doing a podcast about the state of the roads up here. Can I have a chat to you?
No, it won't be long, Mort.
No, a couple of minutes. I mean, because you're just the person I wanted to talk to about, I mean, what is it like to be carting a big truck full of logs around these roads?
Keeping your whips on at all time because your old trailer gets whipped around and all the bumps, but the roads are shocking.
Yeah.
You know, they're hammering the trucks. You know, they're literally hammering them.
Andre Sigelcoat drives on the roads of the far north every day. I'm talking to him just outside Mangamuka about the broken roads and why he can't take State Highway 1, the most direct route north to the mill at Kaitaia. Like everyone here, he's got a story to tell about just how bad things are.
In a car, you don't feel it. In a truck, you got to slow down, or we're snapping braking stuff on our trucks all the time.
Are you? I was wondering about that. So can you tell me, where have you come from?
I've just come out of the bush just up here back of Mangamuka. I'm heading to Kaitaia, and halfway I'm going through the Mangamuka way through Broadwood, and there's this massive slip that's been sliding down the hill. They haven't done anything, and it's been like that for over a year. And but meanwhile they're mucking around on some poncy fancy roads, but they should be fixing. When we go over it, our trailer, it's at the Broadwood Junction, your trailer literally tips back and forth and you got to go like a snail on it, and it's not right.
Because we're coming up to the point here on State Highway 1, just outside of Mangamuka, where you can't go any further. Normally, would you be going through the Mangamuka Gorge if that road was open to Kaitaia? Because that's the most direct route.
It'd be like 40 minutes, an hour at the most, instead of an hour and a half round, to go right round the roads. And of course, we've got to go around, so we're only carting 44 tonne, because all the bridges through there are the rating instead of up to our normal rates.
Which would be?
Like 50 and 46.
Okay.
Depending on the weight of your trucks can carry and the axles. But and what's happening is, even that's a loss. For the forestry, they're paying for 44 tonnes, and you think, how many loads would go up there, or, even coming out, and it's a lot of money.
Thanks, Andre. Nice meeting you. See ya.
Okay, thanks.
We'll get back to Andre. I follow him for a few Ks to see how precarious it is, because it's not only the closure of State Highway 1 that's a problem. And by the way, it's been shut for roughly 2 years on and off. There are 15 major slips, and the $100 million repair job won't finish until next May. But there's the rest of the 2,700 kilometres of the far north state and local network as well. So before I hit the road to see for myself, I talked to a few locals.
Oh, potholes everywhere. Every time it rains, like the potholes that have just been recently filled in, just all come out again.
Like living in a goat track, it's horrendous and it's dangerous.
Why do you think it's so bad?
Probably sparse population, poorer population, it's easy to forget about us.
What's your worst road?
There's plenty of council roads still now that are closed with big slips on them that you can't get past, or only a small vehicle can get past. But probably another big thing is healthcare and people with cancer treatment and stuff like that. It's all another big chunk of their time to get to Whangarei or get to Auckland. So it's all a big impact on the community.
Yeah.
What's up, Pen? How are you?
Yeah, g'day, bud.
I'm travelling with Penatoe Kleskovic, Far North District Councillor and Operations Manager for the Commercial Activities of Northland Iwi Te Opori.
This is our land here. It starts here.
Oh yeah. When you say our land?
Mine and my siblings. A lot of Cody in there. It's on Cody.
Wow. Okay, hey, let's talk while you drive. Is that all right?
Yeah.
All right, so where are we right now, Penatoe?
We're just coming past Waitiotio, which is kind of Paparori, just near the Far North Pack House.
We're on State Highway 1.
Yep, we're not far out of the Opoti forest, inclusive of the Paringaringa forest. It's about 20% of New Zealand's forestry sector, or about 18%, I'd say.
No, there's a lot of forestry around here, a lot of trucks. The state of it, how would you describe it?
Derelict and decrepit. In Māori we say te kā kōpurupuru o ngā rori tatataka ngā niho, which means the roads, there's so many holes and so many bumps your teeth will fall out.
And what were you saying before? It's not just about the state of the roads, it's about the resilience of the economy.
Yeah, I said, well, it's not only about our roadworthiness, but it's about the resilience of our economy. If I give you an example, Te Opoti is a beneficiary of the treaty settlement, fishery settlement, and Moana Pacific is one of the companies that we have a share in, and they operate out of Whangaroa, and in Shanghai, the price for a dozen oysters can fetch up to $35, but you can't realise that economic upside because by the time your oysters actually arrive there, they look like they've gone through the NutriBullet. During the recent floods, well, it was impossible because not only was the factory flooded, but the road was flooded. They couldn't go out via the Mangamuka because of the damage to the Mangamuka road, but they actually couldn't get out of the factory. So that tells you that not enough consideration has been given to route security in Northland when the entire north is shut off. And actually we're only about 2 or 3 days out from having no food in the entire north.
When was that?
That was during Cyclone Gabrielle.
Okay.
We got the second largest roading network in the country, the Far North District. 1,800 kilometres of unsealed road. If you think it costs $1 million to seal 1 kilometre of road, well, 1 million times 1,800. It's a lot of money.
Look, we've just driven along a part of the road that doesn't even have a side bit on it. It's just kind of the 2 lanes and then a ditch, and then a big truck just came past us. I mean, there's not much room for for anything going wrong, is there?
Yeah, well, here in the north we like to operate in slim margins. There's not a lot of room for error.
You know, you were talking about Waka Kotahi. You're a councillor now in the Far North District Council. Doesn't the council also have responsibility here to provide good roads?
Yeah, they do, but not on the state highways. The responsibility of the state highways solely rests on the shoulders of Waka Kotahi. Now, if we're talking about side roads, I mean, the council make Waka Kotahi look like an altar boy, and we look like the ones who nicked the cross. So if you think about those 1,800 kilometres of unsealed roads, a lot of those roads have been subject to significant water increase, and that's part of the woe here in the north, and it's constantly thrown at us by ratepayers about the lacklustre maintenance of our roads, and that's due to the drains and also the culverts not being cleared out. Look, it's no secret that the council contractors are slower than a wet week in May. NZTA is constipated. One example is the Mototi slip that's been 9 months now waiting, and that's life. It could be life-threatening for whānau who are in Hokianga.
These are patched up.
Well, this is a far cry better than what was there last week.
Oh.
The soil we have in the far north is called Onerahi chaos, I believe, and that's part of the issues that are confronting us. It's chaotic. Weather, contractors. Look, I don't believe that the contractors purposely aren't getting to the jobs, but there's so many issues on the roads that if the council continues with the current funding model, we would have repaired all the roads in 160 years.
My name's Hidekia Murray, and I'm a consultant up here in the far north, working with the Opoti Ngātikahu Te Raroa Trust.
How does having bad roads, the roading, affect those businesses?
Well, for one of them, it's very good because if you get a pop tyre or a big scalp in your wheel from a pothole, you usually have to go get a brand new one. So that is business for us. However, for the Manuka oil one, it struggles because of the huge cost on fuel and also the bad state of the rural roads that we have heading out to get the brush.
And as you say, you're having to add quite a bit of freight cost to the cost of the oil.
Oh yeah, so for us to get the product out to the marketplace, the cost of freight now is quite high, and it's high because of the quality of roads and the roads that aren't able to carry certain tonnage. For an example, like if we were to cart a 40-foot shipping container of product to the ports of Auckland for exporting, we would have to stay within 20 tonne. In the Auckland area, we could get up to 36 tonne in a shipping container. So because our roads can only hold a certain amount of tonnage before we have to have an H licence, those are additional costs and higher rates for truck cartage.
Because the roads are so bad?
Yeah.
Compared with 36 tonnes?
36 tonnes.
If the roads were in good nick?
Yeah.
That's a big difference.
Yeah, that's 16 tonnes.
Yeah, it's nearly
difference.
Half. What's the impact of that?
So we're looking at setting up an operation in Whangarei to make it viable for us to export.
Right, and that means that local businesses and local industry isn't able to develop as much as, which means you're not employing local people, the economy suffers. So if State Highway 1 through Mangamuka Gorge is closed, where do all these trucks carrying Hirakia's Manuka oil, the logs, the fruit and vegetables and everything else go? Here's Cale Sillage, Investment Manager of Te Waka Pupuri Putia Trust, Te Runanga or Te Rarawa.
So there are two alternate routes, either east along a road that is now starting to degrade based on the volume, increased volume, or you've got the west coast through the Hokianga, which for anybody who's driven that along that road can see that it's unfit for that kind of heavy transport going along that. What it's meant is increased freight times, which makes, for fast-moving consumer goods, it puts the goods at risk, right? We're trying to bring to market the freshest of produce, and when the freight times are increased, it has an obvious effect on that, not only from a product perspective, but also from a market and consumer sentiment perspective. People in Auckland expect to have fresh and ripe Bell's mandarins, which is one of our flagship products, and if they can see that the roads are less than ideal up here, that'll start to affect how they look at our products. Okay,
the trucks are based here.
Yep.
So how much longer does that add to their journey to, say, Auckland, to the market in Auckland?
So anecdotally, and I don't profess to have up-to-date data, but anecdotally, when the closing of the roads first happened, the drivers were talking about an added increase of 2 hours either way, and when you import on top of that the health and safety regulations involved in drivers having to stop for a certain amount of time, what was happening initially was that the produce trucks that extra 2 hours would take out some of their return journey, and they would have to park on the side of the road north of the harbour bridge, wait there a allotted time, start all over again. So you've got an added 4 hours worth of fuel costs. Not only that, but a decrease in productivity insofar as health and safety is important to us. We want to make sure that our drivers and our produce gets there safely, but not only that, we've got a bottom line to worry about. So, very concerning.
You've got quite a lot of money to invest, and you'd like to invest locally, and there are some businesses around here that might potentially be good for you to invest in, but because of the state of the roads, you're not so sure?
Well, our local economy is heavily skewed toward primary industry. It's the largest sector up here, but given that the primary sector is entirely reliant on supply chain resilience and the like, it makes it difficult for us to make decisions that we're comfortable with in the short term around investments that would have looked otherwise very attractive.
What do you want to happen?
Well, what I want to happen is for those who have been responsible for the historic underinvestment in not only critical infrastructure, but our locality here, our economies and its people, put their hands up and take responsibility for that and help us get out of this. It's going to require so much money to improve our roads to the point wherein our local economy is going to be able to capitalise on the opportunity that we have here.
Let's just get a reminder of what it's like on the roads. I'm behind logging truck driver Andre Sigelko on the road from Mangamuka to Broadwood Junction. Okay, so we're coming up to a really hairy, scary bit. This is a big drop-off in the road. It's down to one lane, and I'm following Andre's truck as we wind around this road. A bit further along, we've just passed another big truck, and we've come up to a slip down to one lane again, and that's where the road has just fallen. It's just crumbled into down the hill.
When you live here, that's your norm, hey. You only know that it's a shit road when you go down south of Wellsford, and you realise how bad it is, and then you drive home again and go, oh God, it really is bad, eh?
This is former MP, local leader Honi Harawira. He says more money has been spent on roads on the eastern side of the region compared with the west, and it shows. He expects the new councillors, including Penatoe Kleskovic, to change that. But he's also got a solution for the troublesome Mangamukas.
Oh, I think you need to bring up the roads up to a certain standard, first of all. That's number one. Number two, I think that the Mangamukas should be rebuilt, but for light vehicles only, light trucks maximum. I mean, State Highway 10 has already proved it can carry the big boys. It's also flatter. It doesn't have to go up through those kind of windy, dangerous ass turns.
That would be controversial, wouldn't it?
Why? We're doing it now.
I don't know.
That's the road we're travelling now.
Yeah.
The only controversial bit would be saying to the big trucks, well, you can't go up State Highway 1 anymore. Why would you risk a road that travels all around cliffs, essentially, cliffs up one side, cliffs down the other side, that is subject to rains? Why would you spend that kind of money knowing that those vehicles are going to cause that kind of damage?
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty sensible idea.
Well,
I wonder...
I'm here to be sensible.
Okay. Good. Well, I think that answers it, really.
Oh, is that it?
Honi Harawira solution.
And every community hall and every marae in the Whānau District Council should have at least a kilometre of tar seal out the front, because those are the nerve centres of our communities. And yet we just allow dust to just flow right across. You know, they should all be at least able to breathe properly when you're there.
Oh yes, Joe's through there. Just go on in and help yourself and grab some help.
I'm in Whangarei to meet Joe Carr. He's chair of the Northland Regional Council Committee that oversees the roads. And he's just out of a meeting looking at this very problem. Okay, so this committee is made up of
6
local council, Waka Kotahi and regional council representatives.
Yes.
So do you cover all the roads?
Yeah,
state as well as local?
State highways as well.
You're responsible for sorting out those roads, Joe.
Yeah, mate. The buck stops with Joe Carr, and people let me know that too.
1,800 kilometres of unsealed road.
Yeah, more or less.
And how much of sealed road?
About 2,700 in total. We're second to Southland in having the greatest length of road in New Zealand as a district. That's the Far North District. You know, it really is a relatively low population, high length of road, huge dock estates that make the roading network that goes around them more extensive. We've got lots of issues about uncollected rates. We've got problems such as distribution of quarries, aggregate. As you cart more than about 10 k's from a quarry, so it's damn expensive.
How would you describe the state of your roads up in the far north?
I describe them as a crisis.
Why do you say?
And a crisis that took a long time to develop. We've had the perfect storm this winter with Cyclone Gabriel and the heavy winter rain, but what's happened over at least a decade is the assets have been sweated.
What does that mean?
Well, what it means is the investments needed in maintenance and improvement have not occurred to most roads in Northland, and in particular the Kaipara and the Far North District Council roads. What we've got is predictable because the surface of our roads and the drainage of the subgrades of our roads have both been left unattended for a long time.
And whose fault is that?
I think we've all got to hold a hand up for this one. I've been off council for 6 years. I'm back on council, but as a member of the public, I probably should have been more vocal. Whether I was listened to or not, I don't know. But the roading budget, the National Transport Fund, is meant to be a hypothecated fund in which only road improvements and maintenance were taken from it, plus policing. And what's happened is it's become a source for a whole lot of non-road activity. So people who are paying fuel taxes and road user charges have seen their money spent on wonderful creations that have got high amenity value and used mainly in weekends in cities, like lovely footpath systems and stuff. And maybe I'm being a bit harsh, but we're feeling pretty wounded up here.
So have you got any idea how much it would cost to get all your roads, state and local roads, back to scratch?
No, I can't throw a number up at that. It would be horrific. We've got significant proposals with government for funding, but I actually think the answer, especially to our unsealed network, is in our maintenance contracts, getting them structured properly and getting our procurement policies so that we can employ and build up the capacity in local contractors again.
Why is the Far North, why are the roads in the Far North worse than other places?
Well, our community is quite poor, really is. You know,
but what difference does that make, having a poor community? Why does having a poor community relate to having poor roads?
Well, we've got to fund a local share. In the Far North, that's 31% of the maintenance funding has got to come from the local community. Then councils have spent a lot of money on the sexy bits, you know, but the stuff that sits under the ground, water, wastewater, stormwater, road drainage, and the problems we've got in the Far North are right across New Zealand.
Yeah, they are. But I mean, I've done a bit of travelling around in the last few months. I haven't seen a network of roads. I mean, you come across a road here or a road there, but you've got a whole network of roads that are broken, really, aren't they?
Yeah, and we've got to own up to it. Our communities have said they've had enough.
But when are things going to change? I suppose that's what people want to know. Are we going to see change in the second half of the year?
As we get out of winter, it does improve. It needs a lot of consideration how to get forward. And look, we've done it before in the Far North. And we'll do it again. Across Northland, we've got to get our roads on a steady elevating climb back to being fit for purpose.
That's it for today. I'm Sharon Brett-Kelly. The Detail is supported by the Public Interest Journalism Fund. Today's episode was engineered by Phil Benj. Our producers are Alexia Russell and Bonnie Harrison and Sarah Robson. And thanks to Penatoe Kleskovic and the other good people of the Far North. Ka kite.